Strategy halts Bitcoin buys ahead of Tuesday Q1 2026 earnings. Strategy, the largest corporate holder of Bitcoin, has paused its routine Bitcoin purchases in the run-up to Q1 2026 earnings due Tuesday, May 5th, according to a CoinDesk report published in the early hours of May 4th. The break in cadence is the cleanest signal yet that the company is observing a pre-earnings quiet period, which restricts material treasury activity until results are public. Bitcoin traded at $80,056 as of May 4, 2026, up 2.34% in the prior 24 hours, with the broader market sitting in neutral territory on the Fear and Greed Index at 48. Against that setup, the absence of a Strategy 8K filing for the prior week is itself news for traders who track the firm's weekly accumulation reports. The quiet period mechanic public companies in the United States typically halt material treasury actions in the weeks leading up to a quarterly earnings release. The window protects the issuer from claims of trading on undisclosed information and protects executives from inadvertent insider violations. For most firms, that means buyback pauses or M&A blackouts. For Strategy, whose treasury policy is built almost entirely around Bitcoin accumulation, it means no fresh BTC. The cadence is what makes the silence loud. Strategy has filed 8Ks through 2025 and into 2026, disclosing weekly buys, often in the hundreds of millions of dollars, and frequently funded by at-the-market equity issuance or convertible notes. A multi-week gap without a known catalyst is unusual. A scheduled earnings disclosure on Tuesday is exactly that catalyst, so the timing fits the playbook rather than breaking it. Why the pause matters for the BTC bid strategy has been one of the most consistent marginal buyers of spot Bitcoin since 2020. Coverage of corporate accumulation has often paired Strategy's buys with U.S. spot Bitcoin ETF flows as a single read on institutional appetite. Pull one of those legs out, even temporarily, and the question becomes whether the spot tape can hold up on its own. April finished with 197B of net inflows into U.S. Bitcoin ETFs, the strongest month of the year so far, so the demand side is not weak. But Strategy's buys are heavily concentrated, often land all at once, and traders read them as a confidence signal that scales with the dollar size. A blank week resets that signal until the company can speak again, and a blank fortnight starts to look like the kind of silence that gets priced. What Tuesday's print will need to cover 3 items will be watched closely once results land. The total Bitcoin position at quarter end, including any purchases that closed before the quiet period began. Unrealized gains or losses booked under fair value accounting, which Strategy adopted starting in Q1 2025, and which now drives quarter-on-quarter swings in net income forward commentary on issuance capacity, since the cadence depends on the company's continued ability to tap equity and debt markets at favorable terms. Strategy has also been folded into wider industry conversations about consolidation, including the proposed 21 Capital, Strike, and Electron three-way merger floated in late April. Anything Michael Saylor says on Tuesday about that picture, or about whether the buying cadence resumes once the lockout lifts, will reset expectations into the second quarter. Broader Treasury signal. Other corporate holders are still active. Bitmain staked another 162,088 ETH, worth roughly 366 SAR, into validator infrastructure last week, a different kind of accumulation. But the same message. Large balance sheet holders are still adding through volatility. Strategy's pause is about disclosure rules, not a change in conviction. Tuesday will say more. For now, the data point is narrow but worth marking. The largest single corporate buyer of Bitcoin filed nothing in the run-up to its earnings, which is the system working exactly as written. The interesting question is what gets filed once the window reopens, and whether the company uses Tuesday to telegraph any change in pace, instrument, or strategy. If the post-earnings 8K returns at the same scale, the pause was simple compliance. If it does not, the silence becomes the story.